reveal the 3 reasons that 95% of women who get stuck for 17 years dieting only to regain all lost weight plus more. I was going to share those 3 reasons or those 3 roadblocks and then the solutions. Most people focus on the surface behaviors. How do I stop eating so much and how do I exercise more? They say things like, starting today, I have to eat less. I have to eat healthy. Or starting today, I'm going to the gym every day, even though I haven't been for months or years. And then 1 to 5 days later, what happens? They fall off the wagon and utter the words, I'll start next Monday. Yet again, how many times have you said next Monday? I'll start on Monday. So why is it that we fall off the wagon over and over again? One of the first reasons is that food has been playing the role of being our emotional crutch or coping mechanism in our lives for too long. I know that you can relate to this. I remember as a kid, I was bullied in school and at home. Dad was an angry, scary man, and we just hear the keys in the door and bolt to our bedrooms to not be seen. And mom, bless her soul, had no idea how to help me manage those stressful emotions or those difficult emotions. And so she'd give me chocolate or bake me delicious food. So I learned at a young age to turn to food when battling difficult emotions like stress, sadness, anxiety, fear, loneliness, unworthiness, all of those emotions. And of course, it seemed to help because when we eat, our body slips from the sympathetic nervous system of fight and flight and into the parasympathetic nervous system of rest and digest. Blood rushes from our brain to our digestive system when we overeat and slows down our thinking. So if you couple that with TV, where there is less brain activity than when we're sleeping, you have the perfect numbing technique. You can completely numb yourself by turning on the television and eating copious amounts of food. The problem is that doing that has never solved the actual issue in your life or in my life. All it did was numb, distract, and disconnect me from the emotions that I didn't yet know how to process or soothe. So what seemed like a survival mechanism, turning to food for comfort, turned out to be a pattern of self-sabotage that created an entire other issue of its own, struggling with weight. Now, over the course of this limited time that I'll be here divulging everything, you'll hear me say this over and over again. We think we're unhappy because we're overweight. But really, we're overweight because we've been unhappy. We have been unhappy and haven't known how to turn things around or how to self-soothe without turning things outside of us like food, alcohol, drugs, TV, or excess work as our source of distraction. So when it comes to the first reason, the first one of 3 reasons that 95% of women who diet regain all the lost weight plus more, it's because we keep obsessing over the food and exercise and never address the root cause of our weight gain, our sadness. We never learn or develop a better coping mechanism. So when we stress or boredom arises, we turn back to the only thing we have for comfort, food. We need better coping mechanisms. And that's what we do with our clients, or that's what I do with my clients, that allows them to achieve permanent weight loss results. Because we know there's no point waiting for life to be easy. Life is always going to have its ups and downs. Let's be real about it. It's the natural ebb and flow of life. It's us that need to learn how to self-soothe and keep standing strong throughout the ups and downs of life. And so we use a variety of tools and strategies to help clients do this. But what I know from experience is this: I can't ask a client to give up food as their crutch until they have learned another means of self-soothing. I can't just take away your crutch and let you fall. I have to give you more tools for you to learn how to emotionally self-soothe and self-comfort so that you don't need to turn to food. So that on your own, you come to me and you say, Marlene, it's the weirdest thing. I have not even been thinking about food. So let that sink in for a moment. You are not unhappy because you're overweight. You're overweight because you've been unhappy. Now let that sink in for a moment. You're not unhappy because you're overweight. You're overweight because you've been unhappy, because you've been looking at food and exercise as the solutions, not realizing that actually what drives you into patterns of self-sabotage where you turn to food for comfort and cancel the gym and sit on the couch and turn on the TV, The reason for that are emotional issues, difficult emotions that are arising that you have not yet learned other tools to soothe with. And so food continues to be your only crutch. Let you sit with that for a moment and let that sink in and ruminate in your head and think about how this applies to you. And one is all about getting rid of the noise and the confusion that's out there in the diet industry and finally knowing what's right for your unique body at this stage of your life so the weight can come off whilst you feel satisfied. Talking about winning life, and I mean completely transforming your body and life till it's unrecognizable to everyone else and exactly as you pictured in your mind's eye. And of course, we're starting with the topic of how to achieve permanent weight loss. Yes, I said permanent because I know you're tired of setting this as a goal each year. I'm going to lose weight. This year, I'm going to lose weight. This year, I'm going to lose weight. And then falling on your face only to set another goal, the same exact goal the following year. So this is all about how to get you to succeed in life and finally enjoy the success that you have built in your life because you have a body that's easy to move in and easy to do what you love in. Now, you know, I've personally lost 49 kilos. I've kept it off for over 12 years, even after giving birth. And I was Australia's national bikini mama 6 months after giving birth to my baby boy. And that was 3 years ago. And I've been helping hundreds of women since to lose weight permanently without dieting, without counting calories, without pills, shakes, and without ever feeling famished. How does that sound? Now, I just covered the first reason why 95% of women who diet spend 17 years of their life dieting only for them to regain all lost weight plus more. And that is because they focus on the symptoms of the problem rather than the actual problem. They focus on the symptoms being food and exercise and never address the root cause of why they gained weight in the first place and the way that they manage their emotions. Hopefully in the break, you were able to identify the common emotions that pop up and drive you to turn to food for comfort when you're not hungry so that you can numb and distract those emotions. Those emotions are the ones that will guide you towards what it is that you really need. Because remember, food has no ability to emotionally soothe, and food cannot go and fix the issue that's causing the rise of this difficult emotion. And so identifying the emotions that cause you to turn to food will be your starting point to help you figure out what it is that I really need. If I eat when I'm bored, then really I'm unfulfilled. What I need is to find my passion. If really I'm overwhelmed and that's why I'm eating, well, then I need some better way to de-stress that I'm not going to regret tomorrow. And whatever it is that's causing the stress, I need to address that. Is there some way for me to address it? So that's really the starting point, is figuring out the emotional triggers that drive you to turn to food when you're not hungry or drive you to cancel going to the gym when you had it all set up in your schedule. Now, addressing these difficult emotions and learning better ways of how to soothe those emotions means ending the cycle of undereating and overeating, ending the pattern of grazing when you're bored or when you're overwhelmed. And that may put an end to weight gain, which is the first step, but it's not the answer to weight loss. Say it will stop you from gaining weight if you can put an end to the emotional eating and the grazing, but it's not the answer to weight loss. It's the end of your gaining weight. And it means that when you do lose the weight will stay off. But we need to talk about how to actually get the weight off. So weight loss happens when our bodies are physically satisfied and trust that there is sufficient quality food coming in regularly enough for it to perform its bodily functions. When this happens, your body has the building blocks it needs for hormone production and various bodily functions. Thus, it senses that it is full or satisfied. And it also has no need to hold on to reserves because it trusts there's always more coming in. And this is the complete opposite of what most of us do when we set out to lose weight. Most of us try to cut back on calories, try to be in a calorie deficit to lose weight. And that's what 95% of people do. They treat their body like it's a math equation, saying things like calories in, calories out. It's all about calories in, calories out. How many times have you heard that? How many times have you been on a calorie deficit? and the weight has not come off. Or you've been on a calorie deficit and the weight's come off, but then you've regained it back with a vengeance because unknown to you, you actually damaged your metabolism by under eating for too long. So the second mistake that people make is they focus all on the calories in, calories out, and they treat their body like it's a math equation, when actually you need to understand that your body, this is biology. It's not math, it's biology. And so if you can give your body the food that it needs, the micronutrients that it needs, that's when it starts to feel satisfied. And one of my favorite examples with this to give is the example of chocolate. I know a lot of us crave chocolate, right? Now, I used to be a chocolate addict. I used to eat family-sized chocolate bars from the airport. Like I'm talking a Toblerone chocolate bar the size of my arm. I would eat that in one day. And the reason is not just the emotional stuff. Of course, I needed to handle that. But on a biological level, my body was low on magnesium. It needed magnesium. And guess what? Cocoa is jam-packed with magnesium. And so my body kept sending me out seeking the source of magnesium that it knew I had access to. But once I started to learn how to get that magnesium into my body without the sugar, just using cocoa or just eating foods that are high in magnesium, that craving disappeared. It was gone. And this is really, really important for you to understand, because when clients come into this program, I never tell them, don't eat chocolate or don't eat your favorite foods. I go, if you want it, eat it. But before we do that, we first get them to complete a genetic test. And this is really, really, really crucial to their success. The genetic test provides us with information as to what's going to work with their unique body. I know that you've all seen a friend lose weight and you've tried to do what your friend did or what your sister did, and it worked for them and it didn't work for you. And that's because you guys have different bodies. No two bodies are the same. So by doing the genetic test, which is the first thing we do when clients come in, we get complete clarity on what's going to work for their unique body. Should they be eating 6 times a day? Or should they be eating twice a day? Does intermittent fasting work better for this client? Or do they need a high protein diet where they're eating every couple of hours? Or is it somewhere in between that? When should they eat? What should they eat? We get a list of 400 different foods, and we get told if the food is excellent, great, good, okay, sometimes, or an avoid food. And this is not based on the calories. The last client that I spoke to, cabbage was on her avoid list. And she said, oh my God, I've been eating so much cabbage thinking it's low in calories and I should be losing weight, but I haven't been losing weight. And I said, that's very interesting. Now notice, it's not based on the calories because cabbage is really low in calories. It's based on the micronutrients. And so we replaced the cabbage with a different food that was on her excellent, great, or good list. And the weight just melted off. I'm telling you, it melted off. And how would you know? How would you know that cabbage is not good for you? Or for Melanie, cauliflower is not good for her. How would you know this? And so it's not about the calories. So many times I hear people saying, I'm going plant-based. And it's because it's low calorie, it's all organic. Yeah, sure, great. But is it what your unique body needs? And so the first thing that we do is we do this genetic test so that we can understand which foods contain the micronutrients that their body is lacking. And once we start focusing on just eating more of those foods, the cravings for the other stuff disappears. And I often hear people say, oh my God, Marlene, it's been a whole month. I haven't binged. In fact, I haven't even been thinking about chocolate. I haven't even been thinking about chips or whatever it may be, because their body is finally satisfied and not based on calories. Because I know you could eat 6,000 calories and still feel famished if you're not giving your body what it really needs. And I remember I used to sit with my brother all the time and I used to say, Rami, how are you still hungry? You just ate a pizza. How are you still hungry an hour later? And he'd just say, I don't know, I'm famished. And it's because he wasn't giving his body the micronutrients that it needs. And so the body keeps sending the signal, I'm still hungry. And so the genetic test provides us with the information that we need to know, oh, this client should be having pumpkin, and this client should be having chicken, and this client should be having whatever it be, Brussels sprouts. They need to have a lot of these. Oh, you need to eat a lot of oranges. You need to eat a lot of apple. You need to have a lot of peanut butter or whatever it may be. And once they start including those foods into their daily meal plan, they just feel satisfied. They come back to me, they say, Marlene, I went out to have that piece of cake that I usually have, and I got it. I had one bite, and I didn't want any more. And that's exactly what we want. We don't want to wake up and say, starting today, I'm never eating chocolate again. Nah, screw that. We want to say, I'm going to eat the foods that my body needs the micronutrients from. And automatically, I will no longer want those foods. So the second mistake that people make is they try to focus on calories in, calories out, and treat their body like a math equation when it's not a math equation, baby. It's biology. And so doing this genetic test gives you all the information, all the clarity. And what I hear time and time again is clients feel like they finally have permission to work with their bodies. Because I know so many clients come in and they've been forcing themselves to have breakfast, but actually intermittent fasting is best for them. Or they've been trying to do intermittent fasting, but actually breakfast is the most important meal for them. And they're wondering why they're listening to all these things in diet industry, but they're not getting results. And the reason is they're not working with their unique body. And so that is the second solution. Get your genetic testing done. If you want to get it done, all you have to do is reach out to me. You can find me on Facebook under Marlene Moore. That's Marleen. And Moore is spelled Mour. You can find me there. Reach out, shoot me a message if you want to do this genetic testing. We offer it for free once a month so that you girls can get clarity, the clarity that you've been lacking, get rid of all the confusion and finally understand what it is that your body needs and finally learn how to work with your body, not against it. And that's why, again, the name of the program is Self-Love for Permanent Weight Loss, because we're learning how to work with our body and we're learning how to soothe rather than numb with food, alcohol, drugs, excessive work, television, all these things outside of us. Third roadblock that keeps so many women stuck for so many years is that they don't learn how to bridge the gap. They go straight from, here I am eating donuts every day, to starting tomorrow, I'm eating only plant-based meals. And of course, that's too extreme of a jump and they fall flat on their face. And so this is something that we coach clients in and support them in when we see them going overboard, trying to change too much overnight. Now, I want you to write this down or jot this down in your memory at least. The fastest way to get anywhere is slowly. I'm going to say that again. The fastest way to get anywhere is slowly. Think about any time that you've rushed something in your life, that you've tried to win fast and big and overnight. Think about people that go gambling, trying to make it big overnight. Think about people that go to extremes with their diet, like I used to. Starting tomorrow, I'm not eating except for one meal a day. Every time we go to an extreme like this, we fall flat on our face. It's no different to walking into the gym and seeing a professional athlete squatting with 60 kilos on their back, which is how much I squat on my back now after years and years of training. But it would be like walking in, seeing me squatting 60 kilos, saying, I want her body. I guess starting tomorrow, I'm going to come in and squat 60 kilos. Girlfriend, you will break your shit. You will end up in hospital if you try to do that. So the only way to get to doing 60 kilo squats is by starting with body weight squats. And those are going to be difficult when you're just starting out. But once those get easy, then you add 5 kilos on. You hold a 5 kilo dumbbell, then a 10 kilo dumbbell. And then you upgrade to the 20 kilo bar on your back. And then gradually, as it gets easier, you up the weight so that the level of difficulty kind of remains the same. But the level of difficulty that you had squatting body weight is now the same level of difficulty that you have squatting 60 kilos. But now when you do a squat with 60 kilos, you're burning a lot more calories than when you're doing it with your body weight. But the point of this is to go slow. So if you got this analogy with the exercise, you can't walk into the gym and start training like a superhero. Well, you can't wake up tomorrow and decide that you're going to eat like a supermodel. It's not going to work. You have to learn to bridge the gap. How do I get from where I am to where I want to be in a slow, sustainable, and enjoyable way? Because that is one of the biggest problems that people have when it comes to losing weight, is they dread it. They dread it because it's associated with restriction, with struggle, with going to extremes, with not being able to enjoy. And that is the complete opposite of what we want in the self-love for permanent weight loss journey. If you want to lose weight permanently, then it needs to be done in a sustainable and enjoyable way. Imagine this. Imagine you start a strict diet tomorrow where you're having 500 calories a day. And I know that there's diets out there that recommend that. You're having 500 calories a day. Now, you might last day 1, day 2. You may even last a whole week if you're really good at punishing yourself. But can you do that for the rest of your life? No, absolutely not. So you may lose a crap ton of weight at the beginning. But what's going to happen as soon as you stop? You're going to regain all the lost weight plus more, because actually you've shot your metabolism in the foot by under eating for too long. And so going to those extremes will always lead to you falling flat on your face and you reaffirming to yourself something that's false. And that thing is, I can't lose weight, or there's something wrong with my body. There's nothing wrong with your body, and you can absolutely lose weight. We just need to learn how to get there gradually in a sustainable way. So rather than losing 10 kilos in a month and regaining 15 kilos the next month, you might lose that 10 kilos in 6 months, but then it's off for life and it is never coming back. Doesn't that sound way more ideal? And so we want to learn, how can I go slowly? What we do with our clients is, if somebody comes in on week 1, they've done their genetic testing, we now have clarity on how they should be eating. Let's use this example. Let's say this client is actually not supposed to have any animal protein. They're actually supposed to eat vegetarian for a period of time, not forever, but for a period of time, that's what's recommended. And they're asked to eat a lot more fruits, like lots of mango and oranges and berries and all those sorts of things, and nuts and seeds and vegetables, but not all the vegetables. Perhaps it's, cauliflower and cabbage, like I mentioned earlier. Maybe those are on your avoid list, or maybe tomatoes are on your avoid list. Whatever it is, we sit down, we get the clarity, and then we go, great. We now know that ideally you should not be having breakfast. It's optional. If you're hungry, eat it. If you're not hungry, it's okay for you to skip it. And then at lunchtime, you're going to have lentils, because those are recommended for you, with any of your excellent veggies. And then dinner time, you're going to have this and that. Let's say that that's the ideal thing for the client. But right now, they're coming right off of eating cereal for breakfast with a croissant in the early morning. And then at lunchtime, they're having burger and fries. And then dinner time, they're skipping. And then late at night at 8 p.m., they're binging, let's say, or they're snacking on tea and biscuits, for example. So we're not going to ask this person to wake up tomorrow and change everything 180 degrees overnight. That's impossible. That's a great way to get them to come back after a week feeling like a failure, reaffirming to themselves that this isn't going to work, and quitting. Instead, what we do is we focus on what's the easiest tweak for us to make. So let's say you've been having cereal for breakfast, but actually, having oats for breakfast might be better for you. And so we just say, you know what, this week, let's just focus on switching out the cereal for oats and banana, for example. Let's say those are on your excellent list. Or we might say, let's have some yogurt and berries, or let's have a smoothie, or let's have some eggs and toast. Whatever is on your excellent list, we're going to try doing that first. And let's say you've been having breakfast at 7 a.m. and then a snack at 10 a.m. But actually your ideal eating windows are 8 to 11. So we might say, okay, this week, let's just have breakfast at 8 instead of 7. And let's eat this thing instead of that thing. Let's just do that for 4 days of the week and see how we go. And usually the client is super relieved. They're like, oh, thank God, I can do that. That's doable. I can get those ingredients and just change my breakfast meals for a week. I can set an alarm to have breakfast at 8 instead of 7. That's all good and easy. And they come back and they go, yep, I did it. I'm down half a kilo. I feel really great. I'm actually not as hungry at lunchtime now that I'm doing this or that. And then we say, okay, fantastic. Well done. Congratulations. Now let's look at the next easiest tweak to make. What will it be? And so for each client, that differs. For some people, the major focus needs to be on the evening. Some people, their breakfast, lunch, and dinner are amazing, on track, but it's what happens in the evening that throws everything off track. For other people, they might need to eat every 2 hours, but they've actually been eating just one time a day, thinking that intermittent fasting is right for them. And so for that person, we might say, you know what? We just want you to up your meals to 3 meals a day for now. Let's see how you go with that. If you go well with that, great. We'll up it to the 6 meals a day the following week. And so gradual is the way that will get you there. Saying starting tomorrow, I'm going to go to the gym every day for an hour when you haven't been going to the gym for years, or waking up and saying, starting today, I'm never eating this again when you've been eating this thing for years every single day, that's not going to be possible. That's not going to be doable. And so we need to learn how to bridge the gap.